This episode of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by Jack Threads. Daniel Craig, is back in a new Bond film, Skyfall.
Today in movies, we are talking about Skyfall. Just came out of the theater, viewing it. And so Skyfall, 50th anniversary of James Bond. It is the third of the Daniel Craig James Bond canon. It is directed by Academy Award-winning director Sam Mendes, did American Beauty and Road to Perdition, and starring Daniel Craig, actually.
Did he do any of the other ones?
Nope.
Sam Mendes?
Nope. Only a couple of directors have done multiples. I'm trying to remember. No one recently, though. None of the recent crowd. Anyway, guys.
Yes.
So I believe that our opinion fits in with the zeitgeist of really loved Casino Royale, didn't like Quantum of Solace.
That's right.
Before you tell me about how you felt about Skyfall, Jeff.
Hey, I'm going to ask Alex.
How do you feel about being the 50th anniversary? Where do you sit with James Bond movies in general?
I think in the modern era, in my lifetime of James Bonds.
So Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton. Is that what
well, I guess the little Timothy Dalton. I'm thinking more Pierce Brosnan.
Oh yes, and then
Pierce Brosnan, Daniel Craig.
Uh-huh.
I think all those movies, the idea of James Bond for me is always more attractive than, or not attractive, I shouldn't use the word attractive, more interesting and exciting.
Why shouldn't you use the word attractive in regards to James Bond?
I think the idea of a James Bond movie tends to be better than the realization of the James Bond movie. And they're always fun. I always have a good time with them. But they're, and there's always a awesome action sequence here or there, but the results are mixed, and
so you're not like Mr. James Bond.
No, I love the idea of the character. I love the style. It's unique and iconic, and I love the fact that it's been going for 50 years and it's going to go for 50 more, and it's just this thing that's perennial.
And was this, by the way, the first movie not based on an
No,
Fleming?
for years and years now.
Yeah, there have been plenty of ones that have not been based on books.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Only the originals were.
It's interesting, though, that the Daniel Craig Bonds really are, the first one, Casino Royale, was that Bond Begins idea, and all these three movies really work as a trilogy of kind of establishing Bond for
Bond's
what we know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they're all like a Batman Begins.
It's like, but
especially because the second one is really Begins. You know what I mean? Like the beginning of beginnings.
Cumulatively, also, it turns out that we're leading up to what we know Bond to be.
Right.
Like for instance, in this one, I think it's the first time in a Daniel Craig movie we see him drink a martini that was shaken and not stirred.
Though
You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
So I love that the way that they took on Bond with the Daniel Craig era is to go back and fill in all those beats.
Right.
A lot of really strong buzz going into this movie, and I had very high expectations. And there was all that craziness about whether we were even going to have a new Bond because MGM had all those financial problems and all that stuff. I have very mixed feelings about this movie. I feel the pacing is very strange and off, and the story itself is very strange. It almost works on two parallel tracks that don't intersect very well, and they're both interesting in their own ways, and they're both slow and boring in their own ways. And so the movie is very uneven for me. We go a very, very long time before we ever run into our main villain. Once we do, he just freaking captivates the screen. He's fantastic. Javier Bardem, who now has created two of the most iconic film villains of all time, and both chilling in wildly different ways. I mean, the fact that this same guy can be terrifying in ways that bear no resemblance to each other, you know? That's pretty awesome. But the movie is sort of about James Bond being... This is the most un-James Bond I think ever made. And, you know, James Bond has scruffy facial hair for most of the movie, or not most of the movie, but a large portion of the movie. And, you know, it's all about sort of breaking him down and how he's a broken man, but... And establishing a strange juxtaposition between him and M, played by Judi Dench, but that never really pays off because in the other parallel side story of the movie, which is the Javier Bardem big villain part of the story, James Bond is just a side character. He's a really incidental bodyguard, and the movie never really gets on track for me. And while there are awesome moments and some incredible performances by everybody really, and some incredible set pieces, it doesn't feel like a Bond movie. My mind was wandering during large portions of it. It didn't feel tight. It has the sin of a lot of these Bond movies, which is the opening sequence is better and more action-packed than all the rest of the movie combined. So I feel very mixed about it. I liked a lot of it, but a lot of it just really didn't click for me.
Well, I'm a big Bond fan.
Okay.
Have been for all of my life. Huge Sean Connery Bond fan. Watched
You like
all
Treasury
those movies.
Bonds?
Love CDs, anything with a D in it. No, I'm a huge Bond fan. I loved these movies growing up as a kid, and had actually conceptualized when we were getting sort of the Timothy Dalton stuff. Had literally conceptualized my idea for a Bond reboot. Which I was like so excited because I was
What's
like,
that?
well, it's
Right.
very loose, but basically Bond literally goes to the beach and
This is not Skyfall. This
Yeah,
is, what
so-
was this called?
this is called Skyraker. I made it had a lot to do with Star Wars when I was a kid. No, I'm just kidding. I'm making all that stuff
Yeah.
up. But my whole concept was that Bond is captured
Yeah.
and that they have to call
The Ghostbusters.
No, they call Sean Connery, and he's retired on a beach, and they
Oh, the idea
give
that
the mantle
007 is a different...
of James Bond is the name, the bullshit made up name that goes with the number 007,
Ah.
and that he's
the
pulled
Dread
out of
Pirate
retirement,
yeah.
retirement, and then goes in, and then it becomes sort of like a buddy kind of
That's cool.
Die Hard,
Yeah.
3 kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's not this movie,
No.
though that would be a genius movie. But so for me, I loved this movie.
Really?
Loved
Really?
this movie.
Wow.
One of by far my favorite of the new Bond movies. It fires on so many cylinders, but it also, I wish this was the first Bond movie with Daniel Craig in it, because it does all of the gorgeous, amazing things that I wanted that movie to do in regards to fanboy Alex from way back days and James Bond. There are moments in this movie, if you're a James Bond fan, the very end of the movie, I literally, like the very end of the movie,
Okay. Yeah.
when they walk into that office, I went, oh my God, oh my God, is that, oh my God. And when I was like,
Coat rack. It's the coat rack.
it's everything. It is literally everything. It's everything that I want. I mean, it literally was like, gave me child goosebumps. You know what I mean?
But let me
Like,
just-
oh my God. And the story itself.
Wait, before you go there though, just that moment.
Yeah.
Isn't that, for me, what I was reminded of was the moment at the end of episode 3 when we're in the Carillion.
This is a spoiler, I feel.
Well, let's
keep
just
going,
say, let's
keep
just
going.
say,
For episode
let's-
3?
Well, but let me
No,
just say that nothing that happened in episode 3 gave me that, because I didn't like episode 3 as a movie.
right.
This movie as a Bond film was top notch for me. The action was hitting on all cylinders. I love the fact that we're now humanizing this inhuman machine after we have seen him do his inhuman superpower things and continue to do them. So, you know what I mean? It's like you get to see the cracks, but you still get to see the awesomeness. And Javier Bardem, I mean, you can't, you know what I mean? Like, what those choices were about. But also, I thought he was, of all the original, or the new Bonds, gorgeously shot. The locations were phenomenal. I mean, there were moments that were literally almost like
Roger Deakins.
70s sight
This is Academy
moments.
Award-winning, multi-Academy.
Oh my
Shawshank
God,
Redemption.
man! I mean,
Yeah.
and in this movie,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I had a blast. I think if you are a fan of the older Bond movies, this does so many, and you don't need to be in order to appreciate this movie, because I really enjoyed this movie. But as a OG Bond fan, it does everything that you'd want in a modern Bond movie.
It's interesting that you said that you wish this could have been the first, and I understand why.
Mainly because
I understand
of the
you why. But no, but
nods.
because it struck me as this could be the last Bond movie we ever see. A part of me almost wants like, now make no more, because there's very
It's
poetically
Luke, yeah.
about beginnings and you never see. I mean, I don't want to say
Whatever.
anything.
Yeah.
In a Bond movie, we see more about Bond than we've ever seen.
Yes, definitely.
But it
And I
also-
will
it
say there
also-
were parts
so
that I
there's
didn't.
a-
There were parts that I was like, I guess we never said that. Like, I kind of liked the idea that his name wasn't James Bond and he happened to become a 007.
Well, that's because you have your alternate.
I know.
take.
I just really want to see the alternate.
But the other thing that struck me that I'd like to hear, you guys didn't mention that I'd like to hear you comment on, is it's also about old versus new.
Definitely.
And it's one of the things a lot of people were saying, you know, Christopher Nolan had said he wanted to do a Bond. Everyone now feels that Sam Mendes sort of beat him to the punch about making, and Sam Mendes even said he was inspired by Nolan doing the Dark Knight movies, or Dark Knight specifically, because he was able to take a really high caliber blockbuster action movie and make it more character oriented.
Definitely.
And I think Mendes does that here, but specifically with old field operative and old tech versus computers push of a button. That's what spy tech is now.
Yeah.
And country v country versus country v terrorism, which is this nebulous thing that can't be.
Yeah, it's cool. It
buttoned
kind of
down.
takes it away where it's not like you're this key linchpin in a giant battle that is happening, which is what Bond used to be. He was the guy that would go in and sort of cut out the thanks man, love you. He would cut out the like support beam, and then the governments would go in and finish it. You know what I mean? Whereas now, it really is, you have to kind of be the guy who literally goes after the guy or the couple guys to stop it, because it's so ambiguous now of who you're battling and what's happening. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's a wonderful metaphor to use, because it's sort of, the movie is about trying to take this old, out of time paradigm and shoehorn it into, or I mean that's a negative connotation, but retrofit it into a post-born world, a modern world where it's not believable to have the tuxedo-wearing guy behave that way.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a commentary on the Bond franchise as a whole, as well as really a very valid point to be made about modern counter-espionage.
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
It's like, yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff that happens that we don't know about, and it was, you know, there were moments where it was like, I mean, it was just great. I just had a blast.
I want to mention one other thing too on the technical side, because you brought up cinematography, and we got a lot of flack from you guys one year when we talked about Avatar, and I was poo-pooing its. I feel like it got the Academy Award for cinematography, and it's like, well, really, that's what I think it was James Cannata, was with the director's cinematography, not the cinematographer's cinematography.
Oh, okay.
And this movie, I think, points to the shots in this movie aren't incredible because of the design of them. Within the sequence,
the lighting.
The specific job of the cinematographer within shots, and there's a shot in this movie that is the greatest shot of any action movie, not the greatest, but one of the greatest for an action movie.
Which is that?
In Shanghai, silhouettes.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
totally.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Getting
I
that
wanted that to
kind-
last an hour.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my God,
and
yeah.
but anyway, so
There's great moments. I just felt like it just, on a script level, it just seems so strangely bifurcated, and like I felt there was such an opportunity to have one of those stories inform the other, and it never really added up to anything for me, and
Interesting.
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
All right.
Loved it. Skyfall.
Sky.
We fell into it.
Adele's
song's
Skyfall
awesome.
song.
and the
no,
opening
the opening
credits.
sequence.
Yeah.
Another total nod to the way that Bond films open, and as soon as that started, it was like,
Well,
you
they've
can
all
do
done
this.
They've all done that. They've
They all
never not done
They've never
that.
not done that.
Really?
Yeah.
In that case, I don't. not as good as in the other two because I don't even
No,
remember
this
that
was-
those were
this was
in the
awesome.
movie.
Yeah, it was very
You know what I
awesome.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. All right, everybody, be sure to stick around for the bloopers from this week's taping. But first, we want to thank our sponsors. Interesting.
It's Jack Threads time, guys! You know what that means? That means you get to decide what ridiculous thing I'm doing. Jack Threads has upped the ante for us. So,
What's the ridiculous thing this week?
well, if you sign up for Jack Threads and send me a tweet or email a picture of your sign up, which by the way is free and it's really cool because
Free and
you can
easy.
get up to 80% off all these cool brands.
yeah.
You'll hear
You'll
about
hear
that in
all
a
about
second. But if you send me that picture of your sign up, you get to dictate how these ads are going to go.
So what are we doing this week?
Roger actually emailed you and said, for some we're basically, I'm gonna have to read it, and you're gonna sign. You're not gonna sign.
I don't know sign language,
Charades.
and this
You're gonna
it's not going to be
charade.
sign language.
I like sign language.
because that's
Sign language is
offensive.
better than charades.
Charade it.
This is more like a visual sort of a dance off, a visual interpretation. of
Without
what's
dancing.
happening. No dancing, but
So here we go.
All right, here we go.
Jack Threads has quickly become the online shopping destination
I don't know what I'm doing.
for dudes. For dudes. Everything on the site is up to 80% off. Because full price is for suckers. They serve up killer contemporary and street apparel. Accessories and gadgets from brands like Converse, Penguin, Nixon, Vans, The Hundreds, John Varvatos, Creative, Recreation, New Era, Mosley Tribe, Super, Ben Sherman.
That's me looking through the catalog.
Super Ben German. I want to watch some of that.
Shopping is stupid simple. And all styles are curated so buyer's remorse just doesn't happen. Update your fall wardrobe at Jack Threads and get ready for the upcoming holiday season. As a Jack Threads member, if you refer a friend to Jack Threads, you get a $10 shopping credit for each buyer you refer. What's more, as a viewer of TRS, you can skip the membership waitlist and get instant access at jackthreads.com/TRS.
Very nice.
Hey, please
Very
do
nice,
that.
Very nice. Check it out, people.
Reward me for being an idiot.
Please. All right.
JackThreads.com/TRS.
Have a good weekend. Bye. Everybody know what we're doing? How we're doing it?
Oh. Halo, Guardians.
Guardians.
Skyfall. Oh, no,
Look at me like so
Skyfall's
angry.
Friday.
Halo, Guardian. No, Halo.
Oh, right. No, you're Guardians.
Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas. Good.
Some Lord of the
call.
Rings, Guardians.
Yeah.
Guardians of Middle Earth.
Guardians of
It's,
Middle- How was it? Was it
MOBA.
good?
We'll find
We'll
out.
find out, won't we?
Oh, you're going to talk about it right now. You
Yeah.
didn't shoot then.
Yeah. And then I'm secret identity. Okay, here we go. Ready? All right, ready? What was that guy's name again?
Daniel
Shawarma.
Daniel, some last name.
SZWERC.
What's happening?
It's called the Stomp class. Haven't you been to Stomp class before?
Are you guys doing the hand jive?
We're doing drumline.
Halo. Halo. Hello. That was all. That
Yeah,
worked
that
out
was
really
great.
well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll do all of them this week.
Yeah.
All your reviews should be.
Carbonite. By the way, that was called a large chin. So
Yeah.
I don't know why you thought it would be smaller.
I knew exactly what it would be. I just thought it would look like a chin on my face, not balls.
That's a great line.
That is. That
I
does.
knew
That
exactly
does
what it would
explain
be.
now
Yeah.
what happened.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
I think it would if I had also bought the note, like if it would have.
If you were
looked more
dressed up
right.
as a witch.
Yeah, it
Right,
would've
I hear
looked
you.
more right.
Dressed up like
I
a
was
witch.
trying to pull something over.
I hear you.
Okay, here we go.
Varvatos.
Whoa!
What? Back. Whoa!
No, but seriously.